Well, hello, and welcome to the Secret Space Program update on what's been going on the moon, the Orion invasion of the Lunar Operations Command, and other details I've learned since the original written report. I don't know what happened when I was trying to do the live stream and Q&A. All sorts of weird problems occurred. Very sorry. I'll do a Q&A at a different point. I need to save my voice because I'm having a lot of really exciting meetings. And then Monday, I have depositions and stuff that I need my voice for. So I'm going to focus on getting through this amazing update. We've got some amazing things going on in our life. A lot of the things that we've been working on are coming into fruition. We're just very thankful to the One Infinite Creator, to our ancestors who have been kicking some ass for us, and our team. Wow. The ones that have stuck with us are going to be amazed at what's coming next. So we're very thankful. We're looking very forward to moving into the next phase. So I'm not going to get into it, but we'll get into it later. Right now, I'm going to get into the SSP update. Okay, and I'm reading off bullet points to make sure, because a lot of times when I just riff it, I leave out a lot of details that were in like a written report. So always go to ascensionworks.tv and find the written report. You might find little nuggets in there that don't make it into the video reports and vice versa. Sometimes things just come to mind when I'm actually speaking that didn't come to mind when I was typing things up. Okay, let's see. So as most people know that have been following my information since 2014, 2015, the Lunar Operations Command was created. The initial swastika-shaped kind of building on top of the moon, in late 40s, little, but in the early 50s, they built that out, and it was real modular, and it's not as sexy looking as you might imagine. Below that, when they built this base, the Nazis, underneath, inside all of these lava tubes, they found, and the lava tubes there are much bigger than the ones here on Earth because of the pressures and all of that. And inside these lava tubes that run often parallel underneath the crust of the moon, they found lots of areas that they could pressurize and build out even further, and which they started doing. Now, they were allowed to be here by pretty much the Orion group. Had pretty much subleased this area to them. And the Orion group knew eventually they would explore and build out. But they did a little quicker than the Orion group, I guess, thought they would. And the Orion group is the tall gray ETs, their reptilian counterparts, insectoid group, and this Galactic Federation, tall blonde human ETs, and they all kind of worship this AI god. So this Orion group allowed the Nazis there, as they did them in Antarctica, and as the Nazis explored, they found these weird hatches, and ancient hatches that went in deeper into the moon, and they opened them and started to explore them, and they found ancient ruins of an ancient technology. And they reported back to their reptilian and Orion group counterparts, and they were told to stay out for their own safety, and more would be divulged to them over time. But the Nazis went ahead and explored anyway. And they brought back a lot of information, and they started figuring, some things out, and they figured out that the moon was basically a planetary type body that had been hollowed out. And we know now that it's almost like a Merkaba on the inside. There's these big spherical areas connected by long, narrow passageways that actually allow energy to pass through. And that over on the far side of the moon, there are these broken giant doors that used to open, but now they haven't opened for many, many, many tens of thousands of years. So if you want to know more about what I'm describing inside the moon, please, I will put in the description box the pre-Adamite story, the group that used to live on Mars. A cataclysm happened there, and then they took the moon as an ark here. And what the Nazis discovered was what the pre-Adamite group had done. They had refurbished this old ancient moon station, and they had created it into an ark. They had created an area for millions and millions of their people to live, for animals to live, and they had working technologies that were over 2 billion years old from the ancient builder race. And they were able to maneuver the moon here and put it into tidal lock. And we had learned a lot of this from different ET groups, but also from what we were finding on the moon. And during the last two micronova solar events that occur every 12,000 years or so, they happen more often than that, but the big ones happen every 12,000 years. In the last one especially, the technologies in the moon were just demolished. They were the pre-Adamites were able to move the moon in just the right spot, almost like an eclipse position, solar eclipse position, when the ejecta from the last solar event hit, and it shielded much of the Earth. There were still cataclysmic problems, but it shielded much of the Earth. And we think that's what the Orion group is trying to, they're trying to repeat that. But in the last attempt, when that occurred, it did protect the Earth quite a bit, but that completely destroyed all of the ancient technologies in the moon. And the only thing that was working was the tidal lock gravitational field that the pre-Adamites had created that locked the moon into like a tidal lock, or not a tidal lock, can't remember what it's called, a locked orbit that it is. So, that kind of gets, let me see, I'm kind of skipping all around here. I want to make sure I get the details. Let me look here. And I reported in earlier reports, I was given a tour of part of the internal part of the moon, where these giant hewn caverns are. I saw giant, they looked almost set up almost like they were solar array. Yeah, I mean, that's how I would best describe it. Like, people have solar panels on the roofs, like on a rack, and the panels are at an angle, except these panels were gold with an iridescent shimmer to them. And I think they were layered with like copper and gold, and but they were human created, and they had been placed there to try to repair things that had been damaged. And apparently the Orion group had given the Nazis, and later the interplanetary corporate conglomerate who now controls human infrastructure in space, plans on how to rebuild a certain aspect of technology that was under human control, in concert with what ETs were doing all over the planet. Many different ET groups were in there, inside, working, repairing, and tinkering with this ancient infrastructure. And at the appointed time, they were all going to come together and something big was going to happen. What occurred recently is that, the LOC that most people talk about, especially the LARPs that don't really know anything about the LOC. You have the LOC at the top on the surface of the moon. It goes down into the surface of the moon into a lava tube that has a big giant bay where ships and craft fly in and out and up through a hole. And then we a little bit lower and away from the Alpha base is the Bravo base. And then there's the Charlie base is smaller. It's not too much further away, but it's kind of a little base complex. And I've been to Bravo and Charlie. They're pretty small, but the scientists didn't really work that much in the bases. Down inside the old hatches, which I saw as well, except the hatches are always open now, and they have all of these pipes and ventilation and all of this stuff going down them. And they had dug out another area to be able to drive forklifts and do all sorts of stuff to go down into the ancient structures. But anyway, down in that area, they had utilized the areas that the pre-Adamites had created to house their families by the millions. When the moon was being used as an ark, they kind of refurbished that. The ICC refurbished that, and we had thousands of scientists and engineers, technicians, all living deep within the moon and in the ancient bases. Imagine that. A couple of billion-year-old civilization built where you're living. So they had been living there for long periods of time and building out and following the instructions of the Orion group to rebuild a certain aspect of the ancient technology. I was told that recently, August 25th, I believe. Let me see. I'm going to be accurate on that. I will, as I move down, I will verify that. Our technicians had reached the 90% mark on the repairs inside the moon. So they let the Orion group know. They're expecting a lot of, happy, excited response from their ET counterparts. They were starting to, have little parties. There was a real festive mood among all of the scientists and technicians. When suddenly, these tall, blonde, Nordic Galactic Federation types just started appearing in different strategic areas of this base. And they morphed. It was really weird. Their eyes went totally black, but it was like you could see ripples in their eyes. And then their faces like crinkled up in a real sinister way that didn't look with what would be normal for their physiology. It was just really contorted and bizarre. And they had these, what looked like flashlights. And tall grays were there, and small grays were there as well, except they had long wand-looking things that they were using in this attack. But this Galactic Federation group had this flashlight-looking thing, and they activated it, and then pulsing flashing happened. You couldn't really see anything. And this is through, I was shown surveillance video. And when all of the pulses stopped, you see, humans on the ground. Some of the ones that had seen what was happening and were trying to run away ended up just getting caught in whatever weapon this was. And, and I'm told that it just shuts off people's neurology and just basically switches you off. And so there were now literally hundreds, if not thousands, of dead humans in lab coats and uniform and technician outer coverings, just dead. And the group then kind of, the Galactic Federation types, the tall blondes, kind of looked like they'd snapped out of something. Their faces went back to normal, and they just kind of looked around, and then they changed a setting on the flashlight, and then walked to each group of people and turned it on. And as they did, it like melted the bodies down into this black slurry that flattened out on the ground, and it looked like asphalt when they fix a pothole on the road. And then they just went about their business immediately of these instruments or these boxes that were portaling in. And it was really, I don't know how, it was like small boxes. They would open the box and then they would pull out a piece, then another piece, and it looks bigger than it originally was. And they unfold it, and it's a piece of technology. And they were setting these up, and they were, I'm told they were technologies for producing very quickly brain chips and that sort of stuff, transhumanist stuff. Man, I've been having so many meetings and talking so much, my voice is suffering. But it's been good conversations, very exciting stuff. Okay, so let's see. Where are we? So after that, then Alpha Charlie, LOC, Charlie and Bravo both were taken over in similar fashion. And then we lost all connection to surveillance cameras, everything. So then we didn't know what was going on. Within a number of days later, the LOC had already been locked down for a while. It was just a skeleton crew that ran the all the launch facilities for the craft and the air traffic control, basically. That was mostly what was just there. And all of those people were, a few days later, a bunch of ICC security came in, gunpoint, escorted them all away from their duty stations, and they haven't spoken to each other since, and no one knows what's going on the LOC or any of the other moon facilities since then. Total dark out. Now, a lot of people might be kind of freaked out and worried, oh, this is horrible, This is happening, this behavior is happening because the solar event is coming. It's coming. And also, the bad guys are losing. They are panicking. And there's a big reason for that. The Global Galactic League of Nations, along with EMI of the oceans, the oceans we have referred to as the Zulu, they're like superheroes with how transcended and advanced they are, the things they can do. They'd been helping the Global Galactic League of Nations. EMI has been on board the Wandering Star for quite a while. They've been traveling around the Outer Rim, basically cleaning up a lot of problems that the Dark Fleet and the ICC had created, helping the Orion group conquer other civilizations. It's really been a mess, and humanity's been a part of it. So the Global Galactic League of Nations has been out there mending fences and trying to fix a lot of what we've done. And on top of that, the group from Andromeda, the Andromeda galaxy that we call the Hue, they have, as an agreement, they're basically they serve their galactic guardians. And just as the Zulu serve our galactic guardians. And they do not come in to our galaxy and screw around. It's just, they just don't do it. That's kind of how things work on the higher realm. But at this time, they have almost completely cleared out what they call the Andromeda Syndicate, made up of several groups, including the Galactic Federation that so many are in love with, that look like angelic humans. This group is really insidious and nasty. They're AI prophets of the highest order. They can make you feel all love and light through their abilities, but it's really scary, the stuff that they've been up to. They've almost everything that they've done in the Andromeda Galaxy has been pretty much cleared out by the Hue. And the Hue brought a giant craft into the outer rim for the first time, into the outer rim of our galaxy. And they call it the Harvester. It was created by the Galactic Federation. And the Galactic Federation used this to harvest souls. That's one of the reasons they work so closely with the Orion group. The Orion group messes with our light bodies, and so it's all very crazy. But this ship, it looks almost like a giant squid, a section here that's like a giant, I guess, the hard drive that stores the souls. And then in the front, it looks kind of like a squid. And what it'll do is it'll point at a certain region, open up, and then it's like a dish. And it's able to hone in on certain frequencies, soul frequencies, that they've been using this. The Orion Syndicate used it to harvest souls on a mass level in the Andromeda Galaxy. And it was the actual use of these ships that was causing such a shift in the balance in their galaxy that it authorized a lot of these higher galactic beings towards the middle of the galaxy to act. It was so atrocious what they were doing. Entire planets and civilizations, just being harvested. Sounds like, crazy sci-fi movie. So this ship was taken over and it's been recalibrated to pick up the different groups that were a part of the Andromeda Syndicate. It picks up two things: their genetics frequency and their soul frequency. And it's able, like a giant tractor beam, like a vacuum cleaner, suck into it and store it on a hard drive. And they are now using this technology to capture all of these bad guys that are in our galaxy. They're going through the outer rim, just sweeping up solar system by solar system, cleaning up all of these Galactic Federation types. And they're real clever. They found little dimensional rifts and pockets to hide in, but it doesn't work with this technology. It finds them anyway and it uploads them. So the Orion group and especially the Galactic Federation know that this piece of technology has been turned against them, that it's clearing out the outer rim of our galaxy, and that it's moving its way in. They know that at some point it's going to come here. I don't know exactly what they plan to do, but they are freaking out. And that's why we see the moon completely locked down, dark. The same with Mars. We've heard several bits of intel about some of these other colonies rebelling because of the transhumanist technologies that is being forced on them. 2 complexes were rescued by the Global Galactic League of Nations and the Wandering Star. Emmy used his abilities or whatever technologies to turn the weapons of the Orion group and the Galactic Federation against them. And there are now dozens of what used to be miles wide ships with hundreds of these different ETs in them that are now the size that were crushed into the size of like a basketball, that are now floating in the orbit of Mars. And the Wandering Star didn't have to fire a shot Emmy, the Zulu, used whatever abilities he has and redirected all of the enemy's attacks back on them. The Orion group is also very freaked out about that because they see that as a possible test of how the Global Galactic League of Nations plans on taking this solar system back. And they were right. It is going to happen in stages. I'm told that the SSP Alliance and a lot of people on Earth now that are actual, not LARPs, but actual SSP veterans that have no idea going about their lives and business, they're going to get some of them that agreed to be a part of this in the end are going to get recalled, and they're going to be a part of the Liberation on Mars, fighting along the Global Galactic League of Nations with, Emmy and the Zulu assisting. And during that time period, if we get our shit together on Earth and start standing up to the totalitarian regime that's trying to take us over, or basically has, and stand up against transhumanism, if we do that, then these groups are going to move in and we're actually going to be able to have Earth liberated. But the ET groups, positive groups, are sitting back to see, are we going to choose a transhumanist timeline? Are we going to have beautiful ETs come in, kind of like, wow, the Garden of Eden, coming in and offering us knowledge in the form of a brain chip? Are we going to accept that sort of thing and get stuck into a transhumanist timeline? Or are we going to switch over into more of a higher consciousness and organic timeline? That's what everyone's waiting to see. Let me see if I've covered it, what I need to. Oh, big one. Okay, so in the outer, this is something that I have not shared before. In a somewhat regular orbit, well outside of Pluto in our solar system, is an almost exact replica of our moon. This moon is much more destroyed than ours is. I mean, visibly destroyed. But on the inside, we have utilized the technology and spaces inside to build out, and we have this this moon base has been called, wow, somebody doesn't want me to say it, Sentinel LOS is its designation. For decades, the human space programs, ET space programs, have basically broken up that moon like ours has been. They're spread out all over. And they use it as a way station to enter and exit the supergate, and to also monitor activity from the supergate. It's like a giant portal that activates every once in a while outside of our sun's influence, and just within the influence, I think, of a brown dwarf that orbits our sun. The relationship between the two and the position of the sun within our local cluster of stars, it creates a natural giant portal. And this portal connects to other galaxies. Most portals that occur naturally like this, you can just jump a few solar systems away or within your own galaxy. But these actually connect to the three galaxies in our local vicinity, as well as dwarf galaxies. So it's a very important supergate, and I've reported on that a long time ago, but not on the moon base out there. But everything is still copacetic there. The same people that were running the projects out there, human-wise, are still there, and they're still reporting. But one of the things that came out recently that they had kept secret is that on the inside of this moon. All the old architecture is completely not pristine. A lot of it's really messed up, but it hasn't been our moon. There's all sorts of really cool, crazy stuff, but almost everything inside was refurbished by the pre-Adamites. Everything was covered up or reutilized. So we didn't know exactly how things looked or were configured 2 billion years ago when the ancient builder race created it. Well, apparently bits and pieces of that infrastructure have survived, and due to a ship, Oumuamua, that came in, and some writing that was inside the ship that they were able to get video of, they were able to do translations, and they're now able to do translations of inscriptions and glyphs all inside of that moon that they're all excited about, and they've been focusing quite a bit on that. Let's see. But Sentinel LOS is its designation. And yes, some have asked, are the ETs that share space on the moon, on our moon, pissed off at the Orion group? Yeah. Some of them are in lockdown mode of these ET groups that really don't like the Orion group, but it's there's not supposed to be any type of aggression on the moon. It's an ancient agreement that has been recently broken, and they only broke it because they've lost all hope. They know this is the end. But yeah, the other ET groups are not very happy. Some have left the solar system and even the galaxy. Others are just hanging around because they want to see what choice humans make in this big, in this big cinematic story that's playing out before their eyes. And humans are so crazy. Who knows? I mean, this is like an insane asylum, this planet. It's crazy. Okay, let's see. Covered that. Oh, and people ask me, Corey, you were shown videos. Why don't you just get those videos and put them on the internet? You know how many times we've tried shit like that? We've set up video cameras and either the batteries get sucked dry, you make sure it has a power source, and something will happen. You'll get video. Hey, Molly. You'll get video, or you'll see a video file, and you're like, yes, I got it. And you put it in the computer, unrecognized format. And you give it to people you know, and they try to finesse and fix it, and they're like, no, this is completely corrupt. You're like, shit. And so, I mean, we've had, and there's been times where we've actually, in tricky ways, uploaded things to the internet, and as soon as they're uploaded, they're corrupt. It's nuts. This AI is really trying to prevent a lot of things. Now, I was actually able to upload one thing that hasn't been pulled down. It's on my YouTube channel. It's from like 2015 or 2016. It's something that flies over our house. Maybe you want to check that out. That's one of the only things I've been able to get on. It's frustrating. Wow, I covered a lot of this. Yeah, the Orion group is trapped in our solar system, and they're digging in, ready to fight to the last man against these groups coming in. But what are they going to do when all of their weapons are redirected against them, like in an Aikido type of principle, by the Zulu? What are they going to do when this giant harvest ship comes in and starts sucking them into it? I mean, there's no way out. There's no way out. They're going to lose. We've basically already won. We just have some tough times ahead of us as the battle occurs. It's like D-Day, We know it's going to be a very bloody day, and it's going to take days and weeks to finish the battle. We're just at the beginning, and humans here on Earth haven't really gotten that involved in the battle yet, but we're about to. Have no choice. We have no choice. Okay, I've got just one last thing. So lots of UFO sightings are occurring all over the planet. Most of those are secret space program craft, but many others are Orion Group and Galactic Federation craft. If you're a worshiper of the tall, blonde-haired ETs, then you'll be very happy. But if you're listening to my information very closely, you won't. These groups, we think over the next, maybe year or two, the way things are going, the government might start letting us know more and more about an ET threat. And then we'll find out we have some ET friends, and they'll happen to look a lot like us. Very pretty, very sexy, very seductive. And they will tell us that there's a group coming into our solar system that is coming to enslave us. They're going to tell us that we all need to fight together. And just like in the end time stories of the Bible and other religions, human military forces will fight alongside these negative ET forces against the group coming to liberate us. That's what they're trying to set up anyway. And, now we've got thousands and thousands of satellites, some from Elon Musk that are up in the heavens now that have all sorts of very strong laser projectors on them that can create all sorts of imagery, like Project Blue Beam on steroids. So many are going to be deceived and freaked out and scared into going after the wrong groups. But like I said, this is all about the choices that we make here on Earth. Are we going to choose a transhumanist timeline? Are we going to choose an organic spiritual timeline? Both of them have their challenges, but we can't be deceived by angelic-looking beings coming down, offering us brain chips that will give us everlasting life, health, and access to knowledge, the bringers of knowledge. So I think that's all I really have in this report. Like I said, we have some amazing things going on. We're looking forward to finally making some public announcements when we can, and we're really looking forward to doing the work. As many know, the disclosure community totally collapsed. It's like infested with clowns and whack jobs right now. It's not really going to be a tool for disclosure. Nothing's going to come of it. I'm putting all of my efforts into Ascension Works TV and also these new projects. And go to disclosurecomics.com and check it out. Blue Chicken Cult Productions, entertainment company. We're going to bring all of my information again to the world, but on a much larger scale. More graphic novels, video games, feature films, documentaries, you name it. So my voice is leaving me, so now I shall leave you. I've got to nurture it because Monday, depositions for our lawsuits finally begin. We are so happy. It's been almost 3 freaking years. We're ready. So Monday, think of us, wish us luck. I will be doing my deposition, and then we'll be going to California to do depositions of some of my old partners. And I'll have some exciting meetings while there. What the hell? But lots of other things are going on. Some of the people that we had lawsuits with now have 3 or 4 new lawsuits for alleged IP theft, and also giving people's personal information to Facebook, which this community just does not like. I think this company is going to have a lot of explaining to do to shareholders. But anyway, everything's moving. Everything that we have tried to manifest is coming into fruition slowly, but in the timing of the universe. And again, I thank my ancestors who've had a big hand in this, the One Infinite Creator, and all of y'all who have supported us. We love you, and we're looking forward to bringing you the next update.